Hi people, TS here. Just talking about Lawrence Okolie. Of course, he's retained his British title and recaptured the Commonwealth Cruiserweight title with a fourth round TKO win over Wadi Camacho. Of course, he now moves to 12-0 with 9 KOs. It was a relatively good performance from Okolie. Of course, he had to adapt to Camacho, his southpaw stance. In the first round, both fighters kind of, battled for the centre of the ring. But Okolie landed a stiff right and a left hook. And, that kind of sent Camacho to the ropes. There was a tiny bit of holding in that first round from both fighters. At one point, it looked like Okolie was trying to whine and come. It looked like Okolie trying to whine on Camacho, which did kind of make me giggle. The one thing I was hoping for in this fight was that there'd be more fighting than a hug fest, and I have to say, that did turn out to be the case. In the second round, Okolie did relatively well, landing a straight right, and he hit Wadi with another right before the bell, and that one right before the bell really kind of hurt Wadi, and I thought that Lawrence might get the stoppage in the third round, but in the third round, Camacho did slightly better. The pair of them were trading on a lot more blows, and Wadi did land a decent left, which is something for Okolie. We never really see him really get tested. Maybe that's some credit to him, and he's reach advantage and stuff, but at present he hasn't really seen him ever really get proper hit on that jaw and tested, and see how good of a chin he has, and maybe if he, as he plans to step up in opposition, we will eventually see. But yeah, I thought Camacho did relatively well in the third round. Okolie was then warned in that round because he punched Camacho in the back of the head. And then, into the fourth round, Okolie came out a bit better. He caught Camacho with a huge right, which made Camacho take a knee. Of course, he did get up from that, but then Okolie, really just, with a kind of killer instinct, hit him with another right. And that was it. To be honest with you, the ref called it off. And, it's one of Okolie's better performances. When asked after the fight about his next plans, he was talking about Denis Lebedev, which there's been a lot of talk that he's going to face him next. Of course, it would be a big step up in opposition based on the guys that he's fought of recent. People asking him about British level. He said that staying at British level is pointless, and that he needs to keep improving and testing himself, and that, which it's a good ambition to have. I think if you look at his last 4 fights, so kind of just over a year period. So what was it, February last year? He faced Chamberlain, beat him. Quite a bit of a tacky fight, but he got the win. Then he faced Watkins, knocked Watkins out. Then he faced Atkins, which was a terrible fight to say the least. And then of course he faced Camacho and got the KO. It's funny, I still see Chamberlain talk quite a lot about Okolie, and says he's rubbish and other stuff, this, that and the other. And one day down the line it'd be good for both of them to have a rematch, personally, an actual fight, not a hug fest. And the same goes for Matty Askins. I thought that Atkins would have got would have got treated better from the British Border Control after their fight, and I thought that they would have ordered a rematch for that fight, because it was it was quite unfair. It was quite a hug hold fest. But we got to see how things go for Lawrence's career from here. Of course, a lot of people want to see him face the likes of Richard Recapture. There's a lot of talks of apparently him Lawrence pulling out of that fight at least, I think, twice prior. Maybe that fight's something that's brewing and it'll become a bigger fight in due time than it currently is. But he moves to 12-0. He's looking now to probably mix himself on the European world level. Of course, if he doesn't fight at British level next, he probably will potentially fight Denis Lebedev. And I think it's all about taking your chances in this game. Of course, Usyk is the undisputed cruiserweight champion, but his plan is to move up to heavyweight, with a fight on May 18th, which means that all those belts are going to get relinquished. And, there's going to be world titles available to capture, and maybe Okolie's going to put himself in a fight, which means that he may be able to capture one, or put himself in a final eliminator to capture one, which in this sport is quite a brutal sport, and you've got to take all your opportunities as they come. And if he goes ahead and does that, best of luck to him. Of course, I'll do a preview and such of his next fight and his next opponent, and we wish him all the best of luck. That's all for myself regarding Okolie's 4th round win over Camacho. Of course, if you're new to the channel, subscribe, and I'll catch you later.